So I did a design challenge and it took my designs from this to this in only 30 days. And the reason it worked is because of something that almost every designer runs into. Because there comes a point in your career where even if you're landing lots of clients and a lot of people are coming through the door, if you're not actually actively trying to improve your work, you're gonna stay the same. In 2017, a study showed that years of experience alone didn't make people any better at what they were doing. But short and structured practices got complete beginners to expert level accuracy in under an hour. And design is gonna work the exact same way. If you're just repeating the same exact designs that you're doing over and over and you're not trying anything new, you're not actually going to be improving. So in this video, I'll break down why every designer should do this and actually how to perform this challenge, because there's hundreds of ways of doing it, but only a few will actually improve your skills. So one of the biggest reasons why this challenge is so hard to get right is that the mistakes that you make during the practice, you can only see in hindsight after 30 days of doing this, and that's just gonna be a waste of time, which is why we're gonna walk through the exact mistakes and the approaches to fix them. And then at the end, we're gonna compile all of that for the ultimate challenge, which is gonna be something that really transforms your skills. So we're gonna be starting with something called the practice illusion, which for me started way back in university, where one of our professors made us sketch hundreds of times the same product that we were trying to create. And when you're around sketch 5 or 6, you feel like you're actually already done, you're pretty happy with it, and you just wanna go in that direction. But then as you progress through the numbers and you're at design 50 or 60, you're gonna realize that the very first few designs that you did were actually garbage. So later down the line, you start to realize things that you wouldn't have realized if you only stuck to the first few designs that you did. And this only comes through constant repetition through tens of different designs. And the reason for this is in one of the best known design studies in the entire design space. So there's some researchers in a university in Austin that split people into 2 different groups. One of the groups was focused on creating the best possible idea that they could have, but only doing it once. And the other group was focused on just doing multiple variations until they were satisfied. So the quantity group ended up with ideas that were rated much higher than the other group because they could push past when they got stuck and they could constantly keep going with new ideas. So this is basically your brain's warm-up phase. The first few ideas are going to be the safest one. You're basically recycling everything that you already know. It's the most obvious options, the things that you always do, the layouts that you're always going to go to. So your brain needs to clear all of that before you dive into something more unique and creative if you want to go that direction. So for most designers, that means that the first 5 or 6 designs that you're going to do are basically just throwaway designs that you should just get out of the way first so you can start to follow up on the more important ones. So the practice illusion, especially inside of this challenge, is one of the biggest traps that you can find yourself in, me included, because you're going to sit down, you're going to do a design that you're pretty happy with, but then you're going to realize that you're probably still inside that warm-up zone. And after 30 days, you're going to look back and you're going to see that most of the designs are going to be quite similar and you're not really going to have advanced as much as you had wanted to. So the fix inside of this is extremely simple. Just keep going over and over and over new designs, keep going and keep pushing. Don't stay stuck in the first few designs because again, that is just the brain warming up. The real output is going to start after that. But one of the things that actually makes it possible to push past those first ideas quickly and do this challenge efficiently is going to be the tools that you're using. And this is where I decided to use Framer as my design tool because I'm comfortable with it. And if you're designing 10, 20, 30 different variations, the last thing you want to be doing is being stuck with your tool. You want it to be as efficient and fast as possible. And the cool thing about this tool is that it lets you go from design to real live website in just a couple of minutes. So this is one of the key tools that I've been using for client work and personal work for the last couple of years. And of course, it's going to be one of the best tools in the market for design drag and drop. And of course, it's going to be one of the best tools in the market if you're looking to go from design to public site in just a couple of minutes. Now I'm going to leave the link down below if you guys want to try it out. Now making more ideas is going to get you very far, but there's a second part of this challenge that forces your brain to develop ideas that you first thought were impossible. And this principle is actually quite similar to if you've ever driven and backed out with a car. And I know that sounds silly, but just stay with me here. Because if you think back to it, when you first started driving, you probably checked every single mirror, you made sure that everything was correct, and you went super slowly just to back out perfectly. But after a couple of years of driving, you do it without even thinking about it. You just rear and get out of there. So what's going on there? Your brain is essentially compressing that movement into one action that it doesn't even need to think about anymore. Well, design is going to work in the exact same way. At first, you're going to take a look at all the specific pieces, the font, the color, the layout, how the image is going to go in, all of these pieces as individual items. But later on, as you develop more and more, you're going to realize that it's all part of one big design. And the best part is that you can speed up this transition dramatically. So this is not related to design, but there was a flight school that took expert pilots and tracked their eye movements. They then took this and showed it to to the beginner pilots and told them exactly how the expert is moving, what they're looking at, and why. And very quickly, those beginner pilots started acting like the expert pilots. The reason being is because they were taught exactly where to look and how and when. So for a designer, it's going to work the exact same way. The fastest way that you can do this is stop designing from scratch. What you want to be doing, of course, this is just a design challenge, not real client work, but you want to take work that already exists out there and try to emulate it and try to see exactly how this person designed what they made. And I've referenced this type of skill all the time without actually knowing what it was called. But if you're essentially tracing the work of an expert, you're forced to see the details that you might have missed. You're forced to see the spacing and the layout and everything that's involved in that design. It's like hiring a teacher that you would never be able to afford, except you're just following along what they made. And of course, knowing where to look and being able to copy good designers is a skill in itself. So at the end of the video, I'm going to give you guys a resource that has everything inside of this challenge in a nice little package so you can follow along if you want. So the second shift inside the challenge is stopping going from scratch and starting to copy expert level designers. You're remaking their work and you start to see how and why they're going to design the way that they do. But even with designing more every day and having a sharper eye, there's still a third thing that's going to take your design to the next level. And funnily enough, it actually feels kind of wrong when you first started doing it. So this is why we're mentioning it. So another story, in 2010, there was an illustrator from Malaysia named Chow Hon Lan that did something that was a little insane to everyone around him. He rejected every single client that came to him for a year. And it kind of sounds like he's just doing the same challenge that we're doing, but for a longer time frame. But he had one rule to follow: design a single t-shirt every day for the entire year. Now this is interesting because client work essentially restricts you into certain patterns. The client is going to have specific needs of conversions and specific design outcomes that they want and preconceived ideas of what they think is good design and a good website. So what you end up doing is you're navigating their decisions instead of just being creative and allowing your brain to move forward. So this is kind of the opposite of the first design challenge. So when this illustrator stripped everything away and forced himself to come up with an idea every single day, he kind of started to create patterns that he never would have done in the first place. So in the end, this is a happy story. He started to become more creative, and companies like Nike, Reebok, Google, and AirAsia started working with him, and all thanks to this type of challenge. And even David Hockney, one of the most famous illustrators in the world, picked up an iPad at 73 years old, and it kind of forced him into a new method of creating. And he started to see things that he never would have done if he just stick to his normal methods. So inside the challenge, try to limit your palette, try to limit some sort of technique that you always go to and feels safe. The tighter the constraint that you put yourself into with this removal of techniques and forms, the more creative you're gonna be to get around what you usually would use as a crutch to kind of work around. But there's even a fourth thing that we haven't talked about yet, which is one of the problems in this challenge that makes people quit before they even improve. And that comes down to your brain that actually has only two different modes of solving creative problems. So the first one is going to be very obvious. It's where you sit down and you design something actively and you're trying to think of problems. But the second one is going to be a lot more subtle. It's in the back of your brain and it acts kind of on passive mode. So imagine that you're working and you close your laptop and you go do something else. Your brain doesn't just magically stop thinking of the project. It's going to keep thinking in the background. And I'm sure that happens to a lot of you where it's hard to sort of cut off your work time. But in some cases, this is actually good because this is where you improve passively without even doing any work. It's your brain being able to connect these different problems and being able to solve those challenges. So again, there was another study where the school split up people into two different groups. The first one tried to power through with their project, and the second one, when they got stuck, they went to do something else entirely. And the group that stepped away and had a little breather and came back to the work had better results than the one that just sat down and tried to power through the work. Now, the reason why this matters for the specific challenge is that every single day, you're going to be working more and more and more for this project. And by day 20, you're going to have an accumulation of all of these different challenges and problems that you've actively had to solve in the day. But what's also happening is that passively, your brain is also making those connections to solve those creative problems in the background. And this is a very well documented thing. And this is why in challenges like this, around halfway, people start quitting because they're not seeing the improvements yet. But what they don't realize is that it needs to keep going for a long time for your brain to start molding to this new creative freedom that you have. So the longer you keep doing this challenge, you're going to keep improving and compounding this effect. And the only way to access that compounding effect is to keep going every single day. And it sucks because that's the only way to get this advantage, is keep going and keep pushing. So now that you understand the foundations of the challenge, let me take you through the entire entire outline here. So the first thing that I learned is that you need to do this in the morning when you first wake up, because that's when you have the most mental energy. And I didn't do this in the beginning, and I ended up pushing it to the nighttime, and I kept pushing my sessions to the evening, so I was even more tired and the work wasn't necessarily even better than the first day. But the daily routine is good because it forces you to pick up from artists and designers that you admire. So when you want to sit down, you have to give yourself a constrained time window, say 1 or 2 hours, and you just go at it and you have nothing else that is taking your focus. You want it to be a limited session, not just endless, because this is something you want to be able to do for 30 days straight. It's not just something that you want to do for 10 hours in the first day and then just drop off because you're exhausted from it. So again, I have a free guide in the description that's going to help you through this challenge in every single aspect of it. Now, the thing that gave me real structure is splitting the month into 3 different sections. Every section has a focus. So in the first month, for example, you're going to be looking at, for example, coloring. The second one, typography. The third one, layout. So instead of doing something random every morning, you have a structure and you try to stick to that. So day 21 to 30 is mostly just experimentation. And let me walk you through what that actually looks like here. The version of you at day 30 or 31 is not the same designer from day number 1. You're not just faster, but your brain is completely different. It knows how to look at designs that you haven't been able to look at before. It knows how to pick out good work from bad work, how to go faster, how to pick better colors, and it all is thanks to this push of design. Now, this challenge handles your skill set, but if the rest of your workday is scattered and you're burning through the best of your work hours, then none of this is even gonna matter, which is why I made a video breaking down the best 6 things I learned from reading over 50 books on productivity and design. And it completely changed my life as a designer. Go ahead and watch that next one here.